Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good evening, race fans, and welcome live tonight here in the desert and on the virtual world here via racing.com. For the Nemesis Lab, Sim500 K&N Series, and I tell you, well, getting close to the end here of the winter series here for the K&N Series, because after tonight we got one more race. We will crown a champion next week. It has been interesting here for the winter series. So right now we're in the middle of qualifying as myself and Jeff. I tell you what, it has been quite the season. I mean, we've seen some exciting finishes, exciting races, and these next two are going to be, hey, we're crown a champ, and it's going to be interesting.
It definitely is. I came in about a little bit of the ways into the season, and just every week since then, it's been a crazier and crazier finish. It seems like I remember the first couple weeks. I mean, we learned that it's not the fastest car that wins the race. It's the first one across the line. And at a track like this, it's a mile long, but it really races like a short track. You're driving in the corners hard. You're using your fender. You're pushing people out of the way. You got to be aggressive here if you want to do well. So I think we're going to see some short track style action. I think we're just going to have to wait and see, and remember that the dominant car may not be the first one to win it here. And I'm calling it now before we even take the green flag, that it might not be the fastest car that wins here tonight or the most dominant.
And true, in Phoenix, I call it Phoenix, ISM, which I want to, but I'm going to call it Phoenix here tonight. With this track, it's unique because it can bring about, it could be some good racing or it can be a lot of caution fest. And I say that it's not against the driver, it's not against it. It's just this place here is tricky. There's two different turns, and I think I did this before. I referenced Darlington to this track, and the reason I did that, just to kind of let people know, was Darlington, the two sides of the tracks are different. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, they're different turns. Here it's almost the same. 1 and 2, and then the dog leg, and 3 and 4 are different on both ends of the track. So you have to, obviously we're on a fixed setup here, Jeff Knight, but if we was on an open setup, and real NASCAR racers always say this, you have to set the car up to one or the other and then kind of hope you get it right for the other one so that you're good here. But yeah, it is a tricky place to get around sometimes.
It really is one of the harder tracks here, in these cars especially. I'm actually going to go, and while we're racing here and qualifying here, I'm going to take a couple laps just to see what these guys are doing, how they're going to be out there, and maybe get a little more insight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if these what these guys do have to kind of tackle around this place here. As we're getting ready to, qualifying, Chad Cole right now holds the top spot over David Comstock. We've seen a lot of great names here, and while we're doing this, I can't look. That's another interesting tidbit that we haven't really. I don't want to say we haven't kept up on it, but now's the time to where we start. Obviously. All right, and leave. Oh. Okay, the standings as of right now. Now, like I said, we got about 2 races left here. About a minute left to qualify, folks. E.J. O'Rourke still holds the top spot, and he's got a pretty good lead. He actually has got about 100 points. I'm looking at it right now. He's got a 100-point lead over Anthony DeBarro. So he's actually got a very, very good lead here. 99 points is what it's saying over Anthony. Nick Cohan is right there behind. Looks like about 20 some points. behind in second. Tommy Ryan sitting in third. Chad Coleman's a fifth. Excuse me, Tommy Ryan's fourth. Chad Coleman's in fifth. Steve Goshawk in sixth. Nick Silver to seventh. Timothy Johnson eighth. Scott Simley ninth. Josh Parker. But right now, EJ O'Rourke pretty much just had to finish. I would say pretty much finish the next two races. It's all his there. I mean, they go off the old point style system series. That's why the points are so much ahead of each other. And it's going to be interesting if he can take that or not. But like we're getting these boys up here, get set, man, to put them on pole. Chad Cole hangs it out front. You got David Comstock starting in second. Justin Fuller up to third. Scott Simley sits in fourth. You got Mark Arthur right there in fifth. Anthony Navarro sixth. Steve Goshawk seventh. Brian Macklin up in the eighth. Mike Kelly the ninth. Tommy Ryan rounds out the top 10. So look through it here and going to be interesting. Like I said, EJ, I feel like, you know, I don't ever want to give somebody a championship, but he is sitting in a very, very good spot as of right now.
He definitely is, and with a point lead that large, it's hard to, you know, doubt the guy is he's certainly in the best position. Like, there's no doubt about it that he's in the best position, but he's not locked it down quite yet. So he just needs to go out, try not to wreck, and just be consistent. He doesn't need to win it. He just needs to finish well.
And the reason I say, you know, probably has not locked it down either is because of just how the points are. You can gain so many points here. It's not 1 point every position. And at one time I knew what it was. It's the old style NASCAR rule. So they're actually gaining like 30 and 40 points. So that 99-point deficit that we're seeing, you know, could come to a close very, very quickly. If these guys, you know, get out here, maybe wreck a little bit, tear up some cars, you just never know. So EJ, his best bet, I'm going to say, is to stay in the top 10. And I think if he gets, you know, some top 10 finishes, he should be okay.
Right. Just, you know, you got to go out there, finish well, and just not wreck. You got to stay out of trouble. He's in a good spot. He's starting 15th with a 27.912, about 2/10 off the leader. So you just go out there, you cruise around. You don't do anything crazy. You don't give up a bunch of spots either. You just go out there, you cruise around, and you come home after 150 laps with a good finish. That's what I'm doing if I'm EJ O'Rourke. But not many drivers like to, you know, sit back and relax. They like to go up there and they're going to say, well, I didn't ever stop racing for the championship, you know?
Well, you know, EJ, he's one of those a little bit aggressive. You saw him this past Monday as we're going green flag here and starting to race at Phoenix. But you saw him this past Monday. Boy, I'll tell you what, he made a send-it move into the turn there to try to get that thing going. But here we go, racing it out here at Phoenix. Out in the desert, Chad Cole takes it out front right now. And the one thing that you're going to see about this track is the dog leg. It's famous for it. They'll go 3 or 4 wide through that thing.
You're right, and on this first lap, this is where it's really difficult because you're on those cold tires, and it's tough. With the new tire model, your car will get so unbelievably tight. It takes about a lap to wear them in. Now that everyone's sort of got some heat in those tires, you're going to start seeing some passes, some aggressive moves. I got an eye on Shane Ewing. He's running up here in 10th. He's holding off the top 10 there and takes it down low on the apron, comes back up. He's battling with Tommy Ryan there. They are both trying to get into the top 10.
Yes, they are. They're right there side by side. Got a little battle going on behind them. We just talked about EJ. He's in that mix there, too. Definitely don't want to get caught up in a tussle amongst some of the other drivers. But you got Nick Silver there in the mix. So a lot of the top runners in the points right there in a bunch. And that's, you know, like we said, with him having that much of a lead, that's what EJ wants. He wants to see those guys either in his front view mirror or his rear view mirror.
You're exactly right. You want to be close to them. You don't have to go out and beat them. You just got to run near them and not let them gain a whole bunch of points on you. But Shane Ewing and Tommy Ryan, they've been side by side for 4 laps now, or on their 4th lap now. Those guys are both battling for position. Keep in mind, 150 laps here. You don't see too many wrecks at a place like this. You know, fingers crossed, of course. So if you're going out there, you're racing hard. Looks like Shane Ewing sort of backed off a bit. You got to manage your tires over these long runs and be expecting to go for a full fuel run and just, you know, keep speed up over that entire time. That'll be something to watch for sure. It's just who manages their tires, who keeps them in the best shape and carries the most speed over the long run.
Tires definitely become an important part, like you just said, and everybody's going to go single file. They're very patient right now. And you mentioned that, I think because in the past, what I've seen with this place, even though, there's a lot of room, but again, it can be tricky coming out of turn 4, getting back on the throttle. This thing can step out from under you very quickly and get yourself in trouble before you know it.
You're right. That was one thing that I noticed when I did a couple test laps there while everyone was qualifying, is that the car just really steps out. I mean, you touch the throttle and it spins itself around. You've got to be careful and, feather the throttle and really drive the car more aggressively than you do at some other tracks. And of course, you're always driving the car, but you got to use more throttle and a little less wheel here than compared to most tracks.
Absolutely. So right now, everybody's kind of single file. Been very patient here so far. There's a mile track. It is considered by most a short track. It's not actually it looks bigger than what they say it is, but it's kind of one of those we talked about a couple weeks ago. Some tracks don't look the size that they are.
You are right. Darlington looks to be a lot smaller than it is. Phoenix looks to be a lot larger than it is. So a mile around, it falls into that same category of considered a short track, race like a short track, but not actually a short track, along with like New Hampshire, places like that. Even Darlington, people race it like it's a short track, but it's not.
Yeah, no doubt. So right now you got Randy Yoakum hanging on to the 9th place. You got Tommy Ryan right there behind him. The top runner here, Anthony Barrow's got a good battle going on with Mark Arthur. Those two are going side by side for the moment.
Mark Arthur and Anthony DeBarro. You got DeBarro on the outside. He's making it work. You can roll the outside here pretty well, actually, at Phoenix. And you wouldn't think so because, of just the track layout and the way there's no progressive banking on it. But you can roll the outside fairly well here. This track, I compared it to New Hampshire a second ago in size, but also in driving style. I mean, you can take, I believe for the setup that I built here, I took a New Hampshire setup and just modified it slightly to make one for Phoenix. So when you go out here and you're running it, if you're good at New Hampshire, you're probably going to be good here. You can roll the outside. You can make the inside work if you need to, but you can put up a good fight on the outside here.
And a fight it is right now. It's those three machines, Mike Kelly, Mark Arthur, Anthony DeBarro. Got Brian Macklin maybe looking like he's going to close in on it. Like right now, though, Anthony's having a hard time with the handling on that machine. It just does not look like it wants to stick down low.
Almost wonder if he used up some of his tires there to try and race side by side with that My Little Pony car, the 18, which is quite a unique paint scheme. Doesn't quite stack up to the Peeps car, but maybe I'm a bit biased.
The Peeps car ain't out there tonight.
Oh, no.
I know. I guess the chick car's taking a break for the night.
Oh, wait, no, he's out here. Steve Abaka's out here. He is, he's currently running 19.
My bad. I can't believe I missed a Peeps car. Wow. I was looking through the field here. I guess I just looked too quick. Yeah, he's right. Never mind, folks. Okay.
Crisis averted.
Peeps are good. Yeah, Peeps are good. He's running 19. He's having a pretty good run so far.
He's up 5 positions from where he started. He's one of the bigger movers of the night so far, actually, and that's awesome to see. He's one of the cars that just is very, very consistent. We haven't seen him up in the top 10 too much, but he's always, 10th to 20th, always riding in there. And you got to wonder, would you rather be fast a couple weeks and then wrecking out the next couple? Or would you rather be consistently top 15 or so? And to answer the question, you got guys on each end of the spectrum. Steve Abakwa running well, currently in 19th, gained 5 positions so far, and that Peeps car is looking good.
And I'm with you there. I was always like more as a consistent style driver. Consistency wins championships. Obviously, you want to win as much as you can, but you're right. He's had some bad, unfortunate things happen. Get caught up in some wrecks and all, but yeah, looking pretty good right there in 19th spot because our points leader right now, EJ, he's just hanging on to 11th. I think he's doing what he needs to do. And pretty much at this point, race your own race and stay your own pace right now.
Oh, as we say that, he backed out of going 3 wide, and he thought better of it. He and Shane Ewing are trying to get around that number 8 car, Randy Yoakum, taking it down low on the bottom. Doesn't look like he's going to get around him. He's going to give up that position. Oh, no, he is going to dive behind going into turn 1. An aggressive move. Looks like he's trying to get some positions here and run in the top 10 here tonight.
And that's a smart move right there. You're trying to get around Randy Yoakum to get a top 10. Definitely don't want to tear that car up. You know, don't want to give up too many spots, because Anthony Navarro is not going to give up. I mean, he's sitting right now in 6th spot here. And if EJ was to fall out of this race, or something catastrophic was to happen to him, and Anthony finished, let's say, top 5, way up there in the front, that's a massive amount of points going into the last race next season, or next week, excuse me.
It is. You want to have as big a lead as possible. If you can go into that final race already locking down the championship, you're just going out there to win the darn thing, and that's a lot of fun. I can't speak from experience, unfortunately. I've yet to win a league championship. I've come close before and been wrecked out, but I can imagine that's one of the better feelings. Is you go in, you got the championship locked down, you just got to go out there and try and win the darn thing.
Well, you know, before I got on iRacing, I loved road racing, and I did a Project Cars League. It was several years ago, and it was road racing, and I had the funnest time I ever had. And I actually came into the season, and it was one other guy who was very, very consistent. Well, we went to the last race. It was Spa. We raced GT3 cars, which I really, really enjoyed. We were into the last race. I was 10 points back. I knew what I had to do. I was very good at that track, but so was he. And I said, you know, I got to finish at least 4 or 5 positions in front of him to take this title. I put it on pole for the race. I ran top 3 most of it, and I was in 3rd place, and we did laps. I was in 3rd place, and I think he was back in about 7th or 8th. And if I would have stayed in 3rd place, I knew I was going to lose by at least 1 or 2 points. But the guy that was leading the race had such a huge, huge lead out front that I knew I couldn't catch him, or at least couldn't catch the 2nd place guy. But lo and behold, with about 4 laps to go, the guy leading blinked out and disconnected, and I finished that race 2nd and won by 2 points the championship. That's probably my highlight of my career right there.
Oh man, I was racing in a league. It was all super speedways, a mix of cup cars, Xfinity cars, and trucks. And I was really good in the trucks. I mean, for some reason, something about them just clicked, and I was really good in the trucks there. And the final race was trucks at Talladega. It was perfect. I'd won like 3 of these races this season. It was 4 of us. Highest finisher took it all. And I got taken out in a wreck because a guy down on the bottom, we told him to just ride the top, and they decided to go down onto the apron as EJ O'Rourke almost gets into Shane Ewing there. And down on the apron, he just didn't get hard enough on the brakes, turned up into the field, and took out me and a couple other people, and I lost that championship. I was in the lead, though. I was leading the race and everything. It was like 20 laps to go. It was a heartbreak.
Well, we're talking about championships because after tonight we're going to crown, well, next week we will crown a champ, and we got a pass for the lead. Justin Fuller takes it over Chad Cole right there. So we're talking about championships in the past here. If you're out there in the chat world watching, appreciate everybody viewing in. If you got a story, man, type it out there. We'd love to hear it. You know, what's your iRacing career, virtual world career there? Where can you join the league? Go to Sim500.com there, Tyler. They actually have the truck series, and from my understanding, there is some spots still open. Not many, though. I think a couple. And the truck series actually kicks off April the 6th. That's Wednesday. Could be wrong. Again, check out Sim500.com. But it's the truck series, Kick-Ass Beef Jerky Truck Series. It will start up right after this series. This is their winter series, and obviously the last race is next week of this series. But the Sim500.com, they have many more other series that they do. Not everything is broadcasted here. I mean, they do have a dirt series that they do, a modified series. The Cup series, obviously, is their main style series, which is on Monday. their truck series here starting on Wednesday. They do have an Xfinity series that runs Sunday nights, I believe it is. So definitely check them out, man. Sim500. Like I said, I know the truck series has it. They got a lot of great, sponsors and prizes that they give out. But yeah, we're talking about championships here, Jeff. You mentioned your highlight to yours, I mentioned mine, and it's interesting here. But right now, EJ is doing what he needs to do. He's in ninth. Anthony's sitting in fifth, and even if they come out of here like they're placed right now, it's going to be an uphill battle for Anthony to try to do anything to run down old EJ there going into next week.
You're right, and EJ's advantage, like you said earlier, he doesn't go out and win all the time. He doesn't win every race, but he is extremely consistent. He is always out there just clicking off laps, always running top 10, it seems like. Just a very, very consistent driver, and that's what wins championships. Anthony DeBarro has been caught up in some other wrecks, and he's had some amazing wins, but consistency, I guess, over the entire season is key, and EJ O'Rourke has just been finishing near the front often, pretty much every single week.
Let me just go ahead and throw a recap here. Last week we was at Talladega. Wild race, But just to let you know, going into that race, Anthony DeBarro was leading the points by 40 points over EJ. Remember, Anthony got caught up into something there, and EJ had a pretty good finish. So 40 points is what actually more than 40 points, because now EJ has EJ has a 99-point lead. Excuse me, Charlotte, my bad. I'm looking. 2 weeks ago at Talladega, Anthony had a 40-point lead. Well, going into Charlotte last week, let me rephrase and recap what I'm doing here. Last week going into Charlotte, after the Talladega race, EJ obviously made up 40 points or more, because at Charlotte, after that race, now he's 99. So he made up 40 points or more after Talladega. He made up at least another 40 points or so in just one race. So it is still possible that Anthony could make up a lot if EJ has a bad night. So I won't count them out. 2 races left. You saw right there in just 2 races time how far back Anthony has went just in 2 races.
You're right. Certainly a lot of movement. It ties into what we were saying earlier, where you said earlier that EJ just needs to go out, finish well, have a good race. Doesn't need to win it, just have a good, solid finish out there. But the guy out front, Justin Fuller, is actually running a pretty good pace. He's pulled away by about 4/10 over the 17 of Chad Cole. He was the pole sitter. And then over third place, David Comstock, he's got about a 0.86 second lead. And he's pulling away about, half a tenth a lap or so. This last lap for Justin Fuller out there in clean air was a 28.421, which is about a little over half a second off of his qualifying time. The average race pace, though, has been about a 28.1 or so, so they're not losing too much time here on these older tires, which, if I'm a driver, tells me I can afford to go out and run a little bit longer on these old tires, maybe late pit instead of having a short pit, where if there were, if it was very heavy tire wear, you'd want to pit as soon as possible. But you can go out there and stay out there a couple laps longer, I think, and be okay.
And the most surprising thing, too, is if you look at those last lap times there, not even a second. I mean, splitting up the field all the way at least back to about the 18th spot. So, take it back to that. Nobody's really going to come through the field here like gangbusters. You might see a couple guys pass here and there. Everybody's kind of single file right now, being very, very patient. Lap 35 here, and just looking through the field. See some notable names here in the back. Steve Goschak's got to be one of them. Not the night he wants. He's back in 29th spot.
Yeah, that's strange. He was running near the front last week, having a fantastic run. He actually qualified in 7th with a 27.795. I don't know if he got caught up in something and we happened to miss it or what, but from 7th to 29th, that is a huge drop.
Absolutely. Jeff Ryan back in the back, Don Runkle Jr., and unfortunately Jose Gonzalez out, and Sean Castro out right now. out of the race. Mark Cretin back there. So some big names back in the back here. Through them all. Richard Beasley hanging on 17. Scott Walter there. Steve Ritter. Jay Graves. Steve Patrick. Mike Maltesi and company. So it's just really tough. You get marred back in traffic here. Just can't make that ground up.
Traffic is certainly a huge factor in these K&N cars at this track. You don't think that, you know, a little 1 mile track, that traffic would be too big of a deal, but it certainly is quite noticeable. But Justin Fuller doesn't have to worry about that. He is out front, got the clean air. He's starting to pull away again. There was a time where Chad Cole was closing in, and he actually closed about half a tenth that lap. But Fuller seems to be on the trend of pulling away a little bit. 28.6s he's running right now, and we are 38 laps into 150 laps, and Justin Fuller is certainly looking strong.
Justin looks strong week in and week out. Let's have to see if he can keep that thing out front. Looking good, though. He was able to run down Chad Cole. David Comstock's another one there. It's fast. Keep an eye on him. Call him Scott Simley. I always call him Scott Smiley out there. Man, smiling right now. He's sitting up in fourth.
It's certainly a good run for him. I believe he had a really good run last week, if I want to say. But Justin Fuller is off the pace way up at the top. He's got a lot of cars going by him. There goes Mark Arthur, who's running in 7th. Justin Fuller now all the way back to 8th place.
Any damage on the car? I don't know if maybe that car might have just got loose on him like we were talking about before. Very well could have.
Looks like it got really tight on him. Going into turn 1, he just locked the car up. I'm not sure what happened there.
Overdrove the turn.
Yeah, could have been a mental mistake and he just missed the turn.
Yeah, and you know, I'm glad you brought that up because that's another thing that we talk about week in and week out. Mental mistakes. We have seen a lot of guys throughout the series pit road mistakes, you know, and that's where I say most of the mental mistakes come in, is on and off pit road, and then obviously in your pit box, you know. But then again, it can happen on the track, and we just saw it right there, over driving a turn. You mentioned it earlier, Jeff. These turns are so tricky that if you get in them or get off of them too hard or soft, you know, it definitely can mess up your routine or rhythm. How's that? Their rhythm. We'll use the words out tonight to mention.
These cars, I know they're called, actually now they are called the Arca Menards series car. They are no longer the K&N car. That got updated, I believe, today. But they're not really the K&N/Arca cars that if you go and watch one of those races, this isn't what they are. These are actually the old cars of tomorrow that they are just using as the K&N ones with the same power and everything else. So these are the former Sprint Cup cars. So when you're watching them, these guys have to drive them aggressively. You're putting a lot of wheel into it. They're sliding around. So there's a lot of power under these hoods, more so than the actual K&N cars. So even though that's what we call it, it's not quite exactly right. It's how it's categorized on iRacing, but these are racing the old cars of tomorrow as if it's a Sprint Cup. So keep that in mind when you see how much these guys are wheeling it and really fighting the car sometimes.
And you know that you've got the new tire model out too. You've got the obviously less downforce than what these guys are used to with the Cup car. And just to add on to what you were saying there, yes, on iRacing we call them the K&N car. In real life, they would be considered, like you said, the old Cup car. Way back in the early, 2000 it was, somewhere in that area?
Yeah, 2000 to 2008 or so, I believe.
Yeah, so, you know, obviously a lot more power, less downforce. You kind of had, like I said, muscle these things around a track. And a track like Phoenix, definitely want to be very careful. So even on a virtual world, it's a tough one. But I got to give my hats off to these guys right now. They've done an outstanding job. Chad Cole out front, David Comstock there in 2nd, Scott Simley up in 3rd, Anthony Navarro sitting in 4th, and Brian Macklin rounds the top 5. Like EJ now is falling off a little bit. And I think at this point, now you'll start seeing guys who are better at saving tires.
This is certainly the turning point. We're starting to see some fall off now. The back to about 28.7 is what they're running. So with these cars out here, this is a very fun track to drive in, these cars especially. It's one of my personal favorites because you have to go out there and you race it so aggressively. And we're going to see who the best tire saver is here over the long run. Looks like Chad Cole might be losing a little bit of ground to David Comstock there sitting in second. And Scott Simley in the number 12 car sitting third, both gaining on our leader.
You know, Chad, he definitely was behind a few lap machines right there. So lap traffic. But you remember you saw earlier Justin Fuller ran up on him. But I say Chad Cole, I call him the Iceman out there. You know, he definitely... He's one that knows how to save tires, and that's something. But like, yeah, you're right. David Comstock might be closing a little bit, but could be by design. I mean, you know, again, Chad Cole. It's hard to tell with him.
He likes to play these games, let his competitors gain a little bit on him, and then pull away. So we'll see. We'll see what he's up to.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So Chad Cole right now out in front. Got David Comstock there in second. Got Simley setting up in third. Brian Macklin looks like he's going to come on off into pit road. So I think some scheduled pit stops here. About time, you think?
It sounds like it. They're 50 laps in. They're a third of the way through this race already in only 25 minutes. They are a third of the way through on lap 50. We've yet to see a caution as we expected. These guys are out there. They're racing clean. They're starting to pull away from each other. Don Runkle Jr. there in the 00. He's going to be the first lap car that gets caught. But Chad Cole, if I'm him, I'm going to stay out and run a couple laps until I'm really, really low on fuel. But if you're one of the guys, you know, maybe you're, 5th to 10th place or further back, take a chance, come down pit road, get some fresh tires, and just break this race up into 3 segments.
Well, it looks like Anthony DeBarro was one of the first in the top 5 there to come down on pit road. And I got a feeling that you're right. It looks like these guys, if it goes green, are hoping to take it just one more stop.
Well, the leaders come down pit road. The 42 and the 17 both hit the pits. They are right on each other's bumpers, though. We'll see who has a better pit stop as we see the number 7 car pulling out. These are scheduled pit stops. It's right what we were expecting to see. They're going to just break this race up into 3 parts, fill it up with fuel, take 4 tires, and move on from there.
Absolutely, and obviously, don't count out any cautions later on because that always throws out the paperwork. But as of right now, that would actually put them with just one more pit stop, and then they can make it obviously all the way. Granted, no green, white checkers or anything, but I think Anthony DeBarro coming down pit road kind of forced the hands of the leaders there, coming down maybe a couple laps a little earlier than they wanted. Play Chad Cole, 4 tires fuel, and he's off.
A great exit as he pulls out pretty close to Anthony DeBarro there, but on that fresh rubber, he's going to be able to pull away. Looks like he gained some ground on that 42. He pulled away from him quite a bit as he got stuck behind Brian Macklin and Anthony DeBarro, while Chad Cole pulled out in front a bit aggressively, and now he's just going to go out there and cruise around and regain the lead once everyone pits in and cycles around.
There's only a lap difference between Anthony and Chad, and that's what he needed to do right there. Obviously battling for points and trying to battle for this championship. EJ is back in 11th. I know Anthony would love to probably just come in here and win, get all the bonus points he possibly can to come out of here, but it definitely is going to help him out.
It is. Don Runkle Jr. has cycled around to be the leader. He's yet to pit, though. I imagine he's going to come in anytime now. But the big thing here that Chad Cole has the advantage of, he was racing David Comstock. They were bumper to bumper on pit road. He pulled away by about a second, about 1.3 seconds now, because he was aggressive, pulled out in front of Anthony DeBarro, cut him off as a caution was out on track.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that's here. Cautions. Cautions.
Was it Steve Bavacqua? He's a little bit further back than he was before. I hope not. Don't see any damage to the car. Oh, Mike Kelly just got loose coming off of turn 2, caught the apron. Actually, really didn't even fully go around. He had the car, turned all the way to the right, did a 180, then brought it back around, and then now all the way back in 29th place. But no damage to the car. Come down, get 4 fresh tires, and head back out there.
You know, we talked about it before. Sometimes iRacing, man, is confusing. It's crazy. We've seen cars fly off the bottom of the apron of the tracks before, and sometimes iRacing throws caution, sometimes don't. But look at this. Anthony stays out. EJ stays out. Remember, they just made their pit stop, so definitely not what Anthony wants to see is EJ right in his rear view mirror.
I'm really surprised that these front runners came down in pit again. I think it might have been a bit of a herd mentality there where one person came in pit and so everyone else did. But as we mentioned, tire fall off was not that bad here. Over 50 laps, it was under, 0.7 seconds. So to come down in pit after only 3 laps is really going to make almost no difference.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how that pans out, unless they're talking about maybe later on if they get another long green flag run. And that might help them on this second style pit stop would be the only thing. But yeah, I'm with you. The way track position has been all night long, too.
That is true. Track position is key here, but Chad Cole now all the way back in 15th because about half the field stayed out, 14 cars stayed out. That is, man, I don't know if I quite agree with that move to come down and pit, but we'll see how it plays out over the long run. These are the guys behind the wheel, and maybe that's why I'm sitting up here in the booth. I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, both of us.
I get down on the track, I'd probably be the one causing the caution. Well, it has been a good one so far. All these guys, definitely, man. I tell you, good race. Man, a long green flag run there, and kind of getting interesting with the points battle, and just kind of went over it a little bit there because top 2 guys, the top 2 guys in points. EJ's got the points lead. Anthony right there had it 2 weeks ago. Had a bad race at Talladega, got it took away by EJ, and then EJ kind of extended it, coming out of Charlotte last week.
Certainly a great race we saw last week, and coming out of it now, some guys are going to need to really carry some momentum, and we'll see how that plays out over this week. That's a big thing with this league, is carrying momentum. We see it, especially in this league, where guys that have a good week one week tend to carry that power and go on into the next week and do really well. So we'll see if that plays out again.
There we go. Here we're getting set to go back green flag. Line them back up here. Guys can do on this restart as Anthony and EJ, remember, they stayed out. Several other guys behind them there. Tommy Ryan, Chad Cole, Randy Oakham, all staying out. Looks like you got to go pretty far back in the field here. Chad Cole's back in 15th. Pace car's in. We're back green flag here at Old Phoenix International Speedway, and Anthony gets a good start.
A little bit further back, they got checked up. Chad Cole had to lift a bit. We're going to see how he fights his way up through traffic now. He's all the way back in 17th after that restart. The inside line getting all checked up. He's definitely quicker than a lot of these guys. If he sees 4 wide going into turn 3, I don't think that's going to work. Timothy Johnson gets a door, and they all somehow sorted out as that 51 car of Justin Fuller. He is certainly being aggressive. As Gael Brooks is loose and trying to save it. He does. Again, 4 wide there off the 4, and they all get it sorted out. That is some amazing driving.
And there's still 3 wide back there. Holy cow. Wow, this is a pack racing. Back in there crashing. Shane Ewing's around.
Well, Shane Ewing went around, but cautions breed cautions, unfortunately. We went 50 laps perfectly green. And now everyone gets all bunched together, and everyone gets a little bit crazy. Everyone's panicking and trying to gain some positions. But man, what a crazy start!
Wow, yeah, that car just looped around on him there. Mike Kelly, unfortunately, nowhere to go. Ouch.
Unfortunate for that 2 machine. He was the reason for the first caution. Nothing, he didn't intentionally. He just caught the apron, and the car went around on him. I don't think even he expected it to be a caution because he sort of got the car pointed straight right away, but now he does have some front-end damage with that caution there, getting caught right on the front.
And you're right, those guys were 3 and 4 wide in the back. Definitely a recipe for disaster. What now happens is Anthony got a good jump out there in front. I mean, he needs probably every bonus point he possibly can here to gain some ground going into the last race next week. To see if he can't pull off a hope to bring the championship home.
Hopefully for him, like he's hoping he can get that done. But look at this, our 2 championship contenders running first and second due to a little bit of strategy play. I don't think you can ask for anything much better than that.
Absolutely not. So right now is a good one's getting set to go back green here shortly. Anthony Navarro out front. It's been a good one so far. And like what you said, cautions breed cautions, but here at Phoenix, I mean, especially when you take it 4 wide like that.
4 wide, even 5 wide, I think I saw. So these guys are starting to get a little bit crazy. They know that, they need to make positions up right at the beginning because they're expecting a long green flag run, but you can't have a long green flag run if guys are making absolutely crazy moves like that, because it might work the first time, but the second, third, fourth, or fifth time you do it, you're sort of starting to push your luck there. But what's most amazing is that wasn't a wreck caused by going 4 or 5 wide. That was just a car snapping loose on Shane Ewing there and catching a couple other cars in it. But we'll see how long this works. Going 4 or 5 wide there and fanning out down the backstretch. Certainly fun to watch, though. I'm certainly not complaining.
There you go. Here we're getting set to get us going back here out in the desert here of Phoenix. Got a good one up here, though. I got to think Anthony, like I said, EJ right now, even though he's a little more, he's kind of an aggressive style driver. He's never going to give up. But he might want to look at the big picture here. Don't want to definitely kill that car. But Anthony really has nothing to lose at this point. I mean, he does, but he wants to take probably a little more chances because he has a huge deficit to make up here going into next week.
You're right. We saw that you can make up those crazy amounts of points 130 points different because he was 40 points behind EJ O'Rourke was, and then now 99 points ahead. So you can make up these big point differences, but it's certainly not easy. Anthony Navarro needs something big to happen this weekend and next week, really, to have a chance at it. But EJ O'Rourke, if he just runs up there in second place for the rest of this race, he could lock down the championship by the end of this race, depending on how it goes.
It could. I mean, and that's the thing, too. That's what Anthony definitely has to look out for is, if it ended like it was, he all but probably going into next week could lock it up, tonight, because it'd be mathematically no way that Anthony could, take it going into next week. But not over with yet. I'd say the safest place for him, though, EJ and Anthony, is right where they are right now, unless both of them get together and Anthony decides to maybe put the bumper to him, but we'll have to see as green flag's about to fly.
They are getting ready to take this green flag, and we'll have to see how this jump goes here up at the front. This is going to be good here. Tommy Ryan sitting in 3rd place.
Here we go.
Oh, Anthony lays back on it. He's waiting and waiting and waiting, and EJ O'Rourke is sleeping on it. Anthony Navarro playing some mind games there.
Yeah, they were playing games up front, and that benefited Anthony for the moment.
Certainly does, as EJ O'Rourke is now side by side with Tommy Ryan. That'll allow Anthony to get out front, and caution is back out.
Watching this replay right here and just Waverly involved in that one. All right, gets that here. Go back green. Thanks. Anthony's still out front. And long green flag run. Now we've had a couple cautions here. Getting wild out there.
Certainly is. We ran so many clean green flag laps, and then, well, over the past 14 minutes, we've run 16 laps. So starting to slow down here right in the middle of it. We'll have to see if these guys can clean it up. I imagine that they are going to get a talking to and told to shape up here and run some green flag laps again. But lap 66 of 150 total, nearing halfway of this race. Pretty good one so far. Anthony DeBarro is looking strong out front.
Yeah, he is. I like Anthony's shot here tonight. And safest place to be is out front. I mean, right now it is. With all these restarts, now I think maybe that one there, I mean, a little mind games on the restart there between him and EJ. And I think you can just see how well this championship's playing out. What's going through those guys' minds up front?
Well, I think they're just trying to figure each other out there, and you know, now EJ knows he's going to be playing those mind games. Anthony is. He knows he has to just sit back and wait for him to jump. And with that now, that was sort of the ace in the hole that Anthony had, where he could play those games and, you know, check up on the restart and not go when he thought he was going, when EJ thought he was going to. Well, now he's done that. He's already used that card. He has to come up with something else here, because that's really something you can only use once before the other guy's going to figure it out. I think he was hoping for a long green flag run there, and that would have made it all worth it, because he would have, you know, pulled that move and then pulled away like we saw him doing. Now that that didn't work out in his favor, he's going to have to just try and get a really good restart here if you can't come up with another game to play.
Well, if we get on another good long green flag run, or if these cautions keep like they are, do you see anybody doing a two-tire stop?
If we get on a long green flag run, I don't think we're going to see that, because it's going to take, you know, a long enough time to fill the car up with fuel. But if we get a caution after 20 laps or so, I would take two tires as long as I still had half a tank or more. I would feel perfectly comfortable doing that and just going out on two tires. So if I have 9 gallons left in my tank when a caution comes out, I'm taking 2 right side tires and going out again.
All right, well, that's and the reason I asked that is because it seems like right now track position might be very valuable here to try to get through the field, and obviously the cautions, you know, not helping coming through the field a little bit. You know, the green flag run definitely can help you if you're able to, you know, save tires and kind of pick them off one by one. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting what happens up front here with Anthony, EJ. You got Tommy Ryan there in third, Chad Coleman fourth, and Matt Lacrosse up the fifth. Getting set to go back green.
They are 2 wide now on their last lap. The lights on the pace car are off. I wonder if Anthony DeBarro here is just going to, right when the pace car pulls off and he can go, he's just going to take off. That's probably what I would do if it were me. Just go as early as you can, hit the gas, and try and beat EJ by getting to the gas before he can. But we don't, you know, we really don't know. We could see some of these guys behind. Tommy Ryan was pretty quick before. Chad Coleman was very quick, very fast. Justin Fuller as well. He's all the way up to 6 now. We saw some aggressive driving by him to get in a bunch of positions. I think he could come out and start leading this race again. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But pace car getting ready to pull off. We'll see how Anthony DeBarro handles this restart. If he's going to go right away or try and hold the line up again.
Absolutely. The pace car peels off. Got to worry about tire spin too. Doesn't look like he does. He holds them up a little bit there. He takes off again. Tommy Ryan didn't get the start he wanted though.
No, he didn't. Anthony DeBarro held him up quite a bit, and Tommy Ryan actually tapped that back bumper. No damage to either car, but he's going to slip right into third. EJ O'Rourke in second. Not a huge advantage like we saw the first time, as Tommy Ryan is now going to look to the inside of EJ O'Rourke. They're going to be side by side going into turn 3.
And 3 wide back there, about third place back, and caution. Mike Maltese, man, involved. I tell you, it's just strenuous out there, folks. And wow, back and watch this again here. Happened to Mike. I don't know what is up here. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but cars again are just looping coming out of the turn.
Yeah, I guess just I don't know if it's an increased track temp, because, well, the track is only 79 degrees. That's fairly cold.
Yeah,
So
I don't
for
know.
these cars to be looping, I'm wondering if it's just over driving or just setup issues or what. I'm
Cold
really not sure.
tires. We haven't really mentioned that. Cold tires. This new tire model, gotta let those tires get up to temperature. And if you don't, then you can come out from under you. I've heard a lot of guys talking about cold tires.
They certainly do make a big difference here. I noticed that on my couple laps that I ran earlier. That first lap out, I was so well. The cold tires, it makes the car really, really tight. So I would be surprised if it was, wouldn't be surprised if it was guys getting tight and drifting up the track into someone else. But these cars are snapping loose, which is just very surprising to me because on cold tires, the car will get very, very tight and not want to turn at all.
Well, it's interesting to see as we're getting set to go back green here in a couple laps as Anthony's been playing some mind games up front.
Certainly has. He checked up that whole inside line, got a really good jump over the 99 of Tommy Ryan. But when you have to remember, when you play those games, there are other drivers that start to get annoyed with that. They might start pushing you instead. Like next time we might see Tommy Ryan start pushing the 27. It all depends on the patience level here. We're not even halfway yet. We're about 2 laps short of being halfway through this race. But when you play those games, you have to be careful because those are real drivers, real people around you that you're messing with, and they might not appreciate it.
No doubt about it. I tell you what, you saw EJ right there that last time. He actually got up to the bumper of Anthony, so maybe if we can get close to him, be interesting.
I'm not going to say that EJ O'Rourke would ever dump anyone. He seems to be one of the cleanest drivers out here, one of the cleanest drivers that I've ever seen, but maybe you give him a little less room. You stop driving around them and start running your line, and if they want to get in your way, then so be it. That's their choice. I know that's definitely something I'm guilty of, where if I'm really fed up with a driver, I just say to myself, all right, I'm not going to drive around them anymore. I'm going to drive my line, and when they come and run into me, that's not my problem.
There you go. So we're getting set to go back green. It'll be a good one here. It's been kind of a cat and mouse game up front between them two. And rightfully so. They're 1-2 in the points. Heading into the last race next week. Gonna be interesting there as I know Anthony would love to have gain some ground, but then again, EJ, he wants that big cushion left like he's got right now.
You're certainly right, and if he carries that cushion and the points were to stay the same, I believe by my quick math, EJ would just have to not finish last. And if he finishes ahead of last place by at least one position, he should be good. That's not official, that's not confirmed at all, but just my quick math, that's what it's saying. As these guys are getting ready to go back and take the green flag, we'll see what Anthony's going to do here. I'm not too sure, but he got actually into Tommy Ryan that last time on that last restart. Justin Fuller got all the way up to 4th now, so he's going to be starting 2nd row outside.
And Chad Cole moved it up there to the 7th place spot. So here we go. These cautions have helped him out. Pace cars in, and Tommy Ryan just not getting the start he wants.
No, he certainly isn't. He's just trying to gauge what Anthony DeBarro's going to do, and nobody knows except for that 27. But Justin Fuller trying to make the outside work. As EJ O'Rourke is a little tight. We could see some 3-wide racing here. But Justin Fuller is going to go down to the apron. They're going to be side by side going into 3. Justin Fuller muscles it in, drives it in hard, and clears EJ O'Rourke going into 3. He seems to be the fastest car out here right now, but let's see what he's got for Anthony DeBarro.
Remember Justin Fuller early on, he ran down Chad Cole and got out front there, so I think Anthony's got to definitely be mindful of that. And obviously EJ's probably cheering on Justin at this moment. Get up there and take that lead from him, because those bonus points, if you win the race, huge here.
You're exactly right, and EJ O'Rourke, like we said, he doesn't need to win this race. He's kind of hoping Anthony DeBarro doesn't. That would be best case scenario for him, is if Anthony doesn't win and EJ just finishes top 5. That's all he needs to do.
Back here about Timothy Johnson and company, they're back here around about the 8th, 9th place. Got a good side-by-side battle going on. It's like Matt Cross and Chad Cole behind them.
Justin Fuller is trying everything he can to get up to that back bumper. Anthony DeBarro, he can't quite make a move, though. and get around him. I think we're going to see a dive bomb here sooner or later. Justin Fuller seems really eager to get up to the front, and he's got one car left in his way to do it, and he's only half a car length behind him.
Well, Mr. Excitement for a reason, because, boy, he'll make it exciting. He's definitely one of the aggressive style drivers here, Justin Fuller. Not scared to take the car to its limits. Let's say it that way. I love some of the social media posts that they kid him about week in and week out. Hashtag Justin Fuller be wrecking or retirement or something like that. But going for the lead.
Going for the lead, washes up a little bit. Anthony DeBarro gives him a little extra room as they both manage to keep it straight. EJ O'Rourke starting to close in a little bit as these guys are battling side by side. Going into turn 3, I imagine we're going to see Justin Fuller drive it in hard. Anthony DeBarro just as hard though, but Fuller clears him and earns barely a touch on that back bumper from Anthony DeBarro. New leader, Justin Fuller, with EJ O'Rourke trying to take second.
Well, I tell you what, that was a smooth move right there. Justin has got a bad fast machine here tonight, taking over that top spot. Anthony right there in second. EJ up to third. Now EJ would love to get around Anthony here, and at this moment, this is the wheelhouse to what EJ wants. He's loving everything he's seeing right now, how it's playing out for him.
If he can get ahead of Anthony DeBarro here and finish ahead of him, that is perfect. That is just icing on the cake on top of the top 3 finish. He wants to just go out there, beat Anthony DeBarro. That is goal number 1 is to get a top 5. Goal number 2 is to finish ahead of that 27 car.
Yeah, and you know, add on to it like there is most notably, or at least keep him in his front view mirror, because right now Anthony's just not going to gain really substantially a lot of points or anything here tonight. I mean, he's 99 coming in. Yeah, he'll get some, but well, I tell you, it's right now it's really EJ's to lose as caution is out. That's a big one in the back here.
Big caution as we are on lap 82. We're now past halfway. 82 at 150 laps. We're 51 minutes in, so these guys are making good time. Waiting on a long green flag run like we saw at the beginning. I think these guys are sort of thrown for a loop and not really sure what to do here. If it were me, I'd pit and take 2 tires at this point.
There's like some connection issue involved in that one right there, and Don Runkle just nowhere to go. Mark Arthur and Jeff Ryan back there. Little blinking in and out. I call them the blinkies, but hey, you know, we are in a virtual world. Sometimes that happens. Chalk it up as the same thing as mechanical. And I tell you something that's interesting, Jeff. You know, go back on the replay. Guess what I saw this past Monday for the first time ever? You know, they got the new tire model here on iRacing in the Cup car. Saw a right front tire blow.
Huh? No kidding.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden the car just started. It slid, flipped, and did cartwheels all the way down the track.
I'm not sure how realistic that is per se, but
I don't either. But
I believe it with a.
It was.
You
You
right
could
front
see
tire
it.
going down.
What happened was you could see it. It was kind of wild because you could see it going into the turn, and all of a sudden the right front just drove into the track. It's like the tire just went down, drove in the track. When it did, it kind of flipped the car up. You know, I don't know how much of the physics there they've got right on that, but you could see the right front just go down, and kind of cool. I mean, it was kind of realistic as far as the tire blowing. Crash part, man. Maybe kind of work on that part a little bit.
Right, as we see these front guys.
Patrick Colby staying out. Mike Matesi, Chad Cole and company still. Chad Cole.
Really slow stop for Justin Fuller. Something's wrong. I don't know if he's got.
You got a speeding penalty? Then there for a minute. Wow. That's devastating right there.
Oh, did he get a speeding penalty?
Got to be some sort of penalty.
Looks like it.
Wow.
I don't
see any damage on the car, but man, I'm gonna tell you what, that's devastating.
It is. It certainly is.
Oh, go from first all the way back. I mean, he's just buried in traffic back in 31st position. That's demoralizing to a driver, man. You're just sitting there like, wow.
Yeah, looks like he might have gotten a speeding penalty. I'm watching his speed right now. It's clicking up to 46 quite a bit. And once you hit 46 miles an hour, you're going too fast. So, looks like he might have gotten a speeding penalty there and was held. But, man, that's a big hit for Justin Fuller. But, it's really going to be interesting to watch him drive up through the field. He's all the way back in 31st right now. And he is going to carve his way up through this field, I think.
Yeah, but don't get in trouble. That's the first thing. You got to stay out of trouble, and we've seen back in the pack, back there in the pack, it could be the danger zone.
It certainly is. It's so easy to get caught up in wrecks here, and it's tough because you're fastest your first couple laps out, but that's also when there's most likely going to be a caution. You certainly don't want to get caught up in one and ruin your night completely. A speeding penalty hurts your night, but ruining it completely is something else. Looks like these guys are getting ready to go back green, though, up near the front. Patrick Colby and Mike Montesi stayed out. Brian Macklin had a fantastic pit stop. He might be on 2 tires. But our former leader, Anthony DeBarro, in that 27 car, all the way up to 4th place. It's going to be a good restart here. Let's see how these old tires fare on this restart.
Absolutely. It's getting set here. Rack them back up here, and we'll see what we got. As Patrick Colby stayed out here. Brian Macklin up front. We'll see how well that's going to work out. Anthony and EJ right there need to be very careful as they're back in 4th and 5th. Pace cars in, green flags back out.
Oh, what a fantastic jump for that 47 car. But Brian Macklin is right on top of him. He's going to think better of dive bombing him into turn 1. But, oh, Anthony
is around. Are you kidding? And, man, that right there, folks, could do win. He got turned going to the turn, into it. Let's go back. Oh, devastating. Let's go back here. It looks like they were 3 wide in the turn. Yeah, Shane Ewing looks like just scooted up the track a little bit, nowhere to go, and Anthony right there. Ouch, man.
That's
heartbreaker.
And just, yeah, you watch that replay, Shane Ewing, he didn't really turn all too much. I'm wondering if he wasn't concerned about that car down low on his inside.
It might not have been, but they looked almost 3 wide going in that turn. Like I say, it looked like the car might have washed up the track just a little, and unfortunately, Anthony being there, you know, you kind of diamond in that turn, and just devastating there for Anthony DeBarro. Fast machine. Talked about it all night long, getting marred back in traffic. Can be a hurt one, but here, EJ, I mean, this pretty much here could all but, I again, I always don't want to give it, but could seal in the deal.
I think that personality, if you take...
I'm sorry, I just had to laugh at Nick Goen's comment out there.
Oh, I didn't even see what he said yet, but if you look at that left front tire, it's completely broken. I don't know how long it takes to... Well, that's a bit more than just a broken tie rod, so I don't know how long of a repair that is, but that is probably DeBarro's night.
Yeah, just unfortunate racing incident there. 2 guys trying to take up the same real estate. Nick out there said, as a team owner, I'm mad. Shane will be in timeout. You know, they are 2 teammates there, so yeah, just unfortunate, man. I tell you what, wow. Really hate it there for Anthony, and I know he's going to be very disappointed. You know, rightfully so, but can't take away from the picture here. EJ O'Rourke has done an outstanding job, and he put the pressure on Anthony to be up front. EJ's done everything he's needed to do to take home this title. Again, we have one more race to go, but coming in 99 points back. And unless EJ just, you know, has a bad night now, it's gonna be it's gonna be a tough one. It really is. I mean, that's probably the only thing. Now, I'm not gonna say Anthony's out of it, but it's definitely an uphill battle now.
Certainly is. For that 27 car, he needs almost a miracle at this point. So we'll see what all happens. But if I'm EJ O'Rourke, my game plan just changed. All I need to do is finish well. All I need to do is finish.
Yeah,
Really, just
yeah.
stay out of wrecks and just be careful.
And you're right. I mean, basically, EJ, that's his game plan. Well, it'd be my game plan just to finish at this point. I mean, obviously you want to win the race, but you just saw right there that anything can happen. You know, back in traffic. And, what's up, John? How you doing out there? Nick, Tyler, and all out there. I appreciate everybody again tuning in. We're here tonight for the Nemesis Lab K&N Series presented by the Sim500 here at Phoenix, and this race next week, going to the final race of the season here. So we're talking a lot about the points, and right now, second place guy just got caught up in a wreck, huge one. Anthony DeBarro, he was up front there racing hard, and EJ O'Rourke coming in here, man on pole. He's done what he's needed, stay in the top 5 all night long.
These guys here do not have enough fuel to make it to the end. Keep that in mind. From what we saw earlier, it's about 50 laps to the end. So one more stop, I believe, is still needed. Unless my math is wrong or those guys all just having to pit early at the same time. It's really looking like you don't need to pit until about lap 100 is when these guys can start making it to the end. So that's going to be interesting to keep in mind. One more pit stop should still be needed.
All right, well, Patrick Colby had a good jump that last time, and we talked about earlier 2 tires, pit strategy. Brian Macklin's on 2 tire stop, but he actually does.
These guys getting ready to take the green flag now. Patrick Colby just had an amazing start, but Brian Macklin was just all around quicker. So we'll see how he can roll that outside, make those 2 tires that he has work. And as they go green, Patrick Colby with another great restart. Man, he is just pulling away. Brian Macklin actually a little bit loose back there. And Patrick Colby is driving this car for everything it's worth, diving it hard down to the bottom, bouncing it down, and hitting turn 3 extremely aggressively. He's got to drive this car hard and give it everything he has if he wants to stay out front. What he's hoping for is about 10, 15 laps that'll get them to the point where they can pit and make it to the end. Everyone's going to come down. You pit, you take 4 tires, but he needs to be out there leading and hope for a caution at about lap 100 for his strategy to work out here.
Well, and definitely right now he's out front. Looks really good. Remember, he was marred way back in the back of the pack. So we talked about track position and able to maintain so far. But you got to look back here about Mike Maltesi and company. Man, I tell you what, Chad Cole, Nick Silver there, Dane Ewing, close quarter racing.
Very, very close quarter racing, and that's about the new for this league. They do some amazing side-by-side racing all the time. As the caution is out, this could work out for Patrick Colby.
Wow, yes it could. Go back here, it's actually Steve Ritter and company. See what happened again. Looks like just right there in the turn. The next thing you know, boom, the 12 machine involved with that one. Steve Goschalk. Steve Goschalk wasn't in it, but
Anthony DeBarro has taken it behind the wall. He is done for the night. That is it for his car. Steve Bavacqua, his car has kept the car clean. That car is all the way up to 15th position right now. Justin Fuller in the 51 is now all the way up to 18th. He started all the way back in 31st.
Well, the cautions will help guys like that. If they pick up a few positions and then a caution comes out, it helps them move up through the field. So definitely they're the ones that benefit from these little bit of green and cautions because they're able to make those kind of chunks up through the field. So that helps guys like Justin Fuller. But yeah, unfortunately, 32nd position, Anthony DeBarro. And unless EJ just has a nightmare of a day, I think pretty much the hopes for a title is it's going downhill very quickly, and just an unfortunate set of circumstances.
It really is. Patrick got his 4 tires, had a really, really good pit stop there. He's pulling away. If he can get out front here, Man, that is an amazing call to stay out and run a couple laps and hold the lead. He's ahead of EJ O'Rourke. That's what he needed. Let's see if he gets out ahead of Brian Macklin, though. Did Brian Macklin take two?
He did. Chad Cole and Brian Actually, Chad Cole looks like he just took fuel because he only had a 5-second pit stop. Now that's a gamble. I don't even think that's fast enough to even get 2 tires.
No, it's not. It takes about 7 days in these cars to put 2 tires on, so he gained 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, now Brian Macklin obviously did do 2 tires. He had a 10-second stop, but Patrick Colby on those 4 tires. And I think I've got to go back. I think that's the move of the race, or one of the moves of the race. I'm not going to say it's going to be the winning move, but definitely Patrick was way back in, 20-some, about 30, way back in the 20s, all race long. We mentioned earlier, nobody was coming through the field, so he had to do something crazy. The caution played out right there, 4 tires, and I really think that these 4 tires on this restart are going to benefit him huge.
We're seeing a really strong strategy by these guys that are running out front, and we're starting to split the field on strategy now. I'm going to go off here for a minute and try and explain what I think might all be happening. So the top 6 have all stayed out. They are on the older tires from the last pit stop. They all came in and pitted when everyone else did, when we saw the split between 2 and 4 tires. But you're seeing this in these top 6 cars out front. You might be wondering what they're doing, what they think is going to happen. They are banking on at least one more caution, probably about 25 or so laps from now, because we're taking the green at lap 100 with just 50 laps to go. They are hoping for a caution before lap 150. Before lap 130. And they're doing that because that's when they'll start to run out of fuel, run low on fuel, and need to pit. So if these guys can stay out and they get a caution in the next 10 to 25 laps, it's perfect for them and plays perfectly into their strategy. They'll come down, they'll probably take 2 tires, and just like everyone else, maybe they'll take 4. That's all depending on what they're thinking. But by staying out here, their tires are okay, they can still remain competitive, and they'll try and make it on fuel. They know they can't make it to the end. They need another caution, and that's what they're banking on. Going green here, Timothy Johnson leading the way with Chad Coleman on his outside. Going to get a good jump here, that 28 car does. The 19 of Richard Beasley behind him. Mike Kelly is stuck there on the outside. We saw him involved in a couple earlier incidents, and he is making it work all the way up to 4th place now with a little bit of strategy. But Timothy Johnson pulling away. He's got 2 car lengths over Chad Coleman. Gets a little loose off the corner there, and we're seeing the same thing out of Timothy Johnson. He's driving it aggressively in. He knows he has to race hard and stay up front for this strategy of his to work.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, it's a good one. As like you said, we're back to green here. Patrick's back to 12th. Didn't get the start that he wanted there, but got a lot of great ones. And my dog agreed with the race back there. But Timothy Johnson, like you said, he's taking maybe the approach that Patrick did there. I mean, hey, it worked. It worked for him.
They're going to be 3 wide going into turn 3 for 5th place, for 3rd place that is. 4th place that is, my goodness. But they are 3 wide through the turn. Brian Macklin on the bottom, Richard Beasley in the middle, and Steve Buckler in the Peeps car on the outside. He's going to be the odd one out. He's going to fall all the way back there. Side by side, Brian Macklin is going to get the advantage down on the inside. Chad Cole as well is going to try and follow. And EJ O'Rourke working his way around down the inside of Steve Buckler. Tommy Ryan to follow. These guys that are a little further back, Steve Buckler restarted 5th. It's not going to work out too well, this strategy for him, as he's starting to lose track position. But a net gain for him. So if they get a caution in the next 15 or so laps, that is perfect. That's exactly what they need.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And definitely looking very good on his end. And he almost got nailed in the back. Don't want to be the caution, but he definitely would love to see one come out. Again, though, EJ at this point be very cautious about going through the pack. Obviously, he wants to get back up front, but right now, kind of, I don't know if it's an area he wants to be in.
Maybe, maybe not, but the guy that's right where he wants to be is Timothy Johnson, that 28 car. Chad Coleman not too far behind. Mike Kelly, I mentioned earlier, we saw him involved in a couple earlier wrecks, worked his way all the way back up to 3rd place. these guys are cruising, they are just able to hold their line. We saw earlier that tires were not really a limiting factor here. They were able to hold their speed over a long run. These guys are putting down faster laps now than they were at the beginning of the race. A 27.987 is faster than the average 27.988 that second lap, only 1,000 off over the course of an entire lap. These guys are running really well here, and they are faster than they were at the beginning of the race.
Tommy Ryan up to 7th right now with EJ. Beasley right there behind him. They're actually battling it side by side for the moment. Justin Fuller moves it up to 8th place there. Count him out.
Really, anyone in this top 10, they can play some strategy and come out here the winner. So I'm excited to see it. Justin Fuller in 9th now. That car was just aggressive all night, and he's driven his way after a penalty all the way from 31st, I want to say it was, all the way up to 9th now, and he is certainly not done. Caution is out. That's perfect for these guys. You come down
front,
you
yeah. Back on the caution here and see what guys, Don Runkle Jr. and company back here. Unfortunately, Don's not having the night he wants. See right here. Oh! I don't know what in the world that was what happened to Don. But actually, the wreck happened behind him, and then Don kind of had an invisible wall happen, but actually it happened back here with Jeff Ryan and Mark Treaton. Oh! But Don Runkle, that was strange. Go back and look on what happened to Don there. He got caught on the wall.
Yeah, that's a weird one. It's been a weird night on iRacing after this last hot patch. I was actually in a race earlier tonight. I was in the Esports Racing League All-Star. I got one of the invitational
Nice.
spots into that race. And I wasn't running too well. You know, I actually just got a brand new wheel and all that, and it's that's a whole other story.
Well, you got enough time now to do it.
Oh, yeah. And so when I was running that race, though, I stopped getting scored for some reason. I mean, there was 10 laps where I just wasn't getting scored. Actually, it was 16 laps. I just wasn't getting scored. I didn't have a meatball. I didn't have anything wrong with the car. My internet was still connected. I could see other cars, and they could see me, but it just stopped scoring me for some reason. It's a weird thing.
There's some things we talk about. Obviously, we're on the virtual world here, and I always say iRacing.com is the realest thing you can get without spending millions of dollars to go real racing. But there are some things that you have to look at, things that we can't control. Obviously, power outages, internet, server issues, computer problems, etc. And I've seen a couple guys tonight, blink, and the blinkiness obviously is connection issues and so forth. And that's just a part of online racing. It happens, again, even we have it happen up here in the broadcast side of things, technical difficulties. And again, I've just got a shout out there, folks, stay safe. Obviously got the, I'm going to say it like this, maybe wrong choice of words, the pandemic going on with the coronavirus and all that happening. But, if you're at home, be safe out there. And, if you're a gamer, now's your time to shine, because you should love, man. And if you need to catch up on your soap operas, I guess now would be the time to do it. Or if you're a Netflixer, get out there and you can watch all they got all month long before they take them off.
You got all month long, or you can sit and watch these iRacing broadcasts here every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. That's another great option. But I mentioned this new wheel, so I bounce back and forth between Indiana and Florida. My parents live down in Florida, and when I'm at college, I'll come down and visit them. It is, but so I was like, well, I can't fit my wheel and pedals. I have a Thrustmaster TMX T3PA Pro pedals up in Indiana, and I can't fit them in my bag to fly them down. So I got a $70 Thrustmaster. I got it right here. Ferrari Racing Wheel, Red Legend Edition. For $70 from Best Buy. It's made for PS3s. So
okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have 180 degrees of rotation, so I go 90 degrees on each side. I have 2 pedals instead of 3. So it's good. I'm happy I did it. I'm happy I have a wheel and can continue to race down here. But it's just a big adjustment going from like my usual setup down to it's a downgrade. I'll admit it's a downgrade.
So basically, you're on a controller with a wheel because the controller has 180 degrees. Get
correct.
Really technical on it.
You are absolutely correct. I have a giant thumbstick here.
There you go. Yeah.
And pedals.
There you go. Well, hey, at least you're on the wheel and pedals. Either way, you get set to go back green flag, and we're off racing here. Shane Ewing stayed out this time. Mike Kelly, and it has worked out for everyone who stayed out so far, but man, the pack is bunched up front this time.
I believe now that these guys, everyone should be able to make it to the end on fuel if they pitted after lap 100. So, or actually probably about lap 95 if you pit after that. Shane Ewing gets a little bit tight, goes up into Mike Kelly. Just crazy racing there. Nobody really did anything wrong, but just, man, oh man, it is absolute mayhem. They are 3 wide, about to enter turn 1. Brian Macklin in the middle.
And if you're EJ O'Rourke sitting right there in the middle of all that, what is going through your mind? Oh,
get out.
Man.
Get out. If I'm EJ O'Rourke, I'm saying, get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, he wants this thing to fan out quick, get single file very quickly. But, man, look at these guys side by side up front here. 3 wide behind him a little bit. And the man who benefited, Mike Kelly, you're right, caught up in a wreck early on in the race, out front leading it right now.
Not just 1 wreck, but 2. He spun himself around, then he actually got some damage from being involved in another wreck. So to come back from 2 wrecks is to now be leading this race with some smart strategy, that's impressive.
Absolutely. Justin Fuller back up to 10th right there. He's going to close up on the back end of EJ. Tommy Ryan's on the outside there, door to door. Well, if I'm EJ, I'm sitting here going like, oh, guys, hurry up, get single file.
Yeah, really. He wants this race to just go green until the end, and that's it.
Yeah, get out of here and go to the last race of the season with a huge cushion. If he can come out of here where he's sitting right now of a lead, and pretty much going into next week. I mean, if it ended right now and going into next week, he pretty much could just kind of start and park it. Almost,
I don't
not
think
quite.
he will.
Almost, but not quite. You wouldn't be able to quite lead it.
Right, I think he'd have to go out, and actually with this now, I believe he could clinch it, unless
I don't know. I need to
like,
look at the bonus points, because there are a lot of bonus points and the actual points. Obviously, Nick Cohan out there in the chat might be able to tell us more. And obviously, we'll know by the time this one's over here what it looks like. Tommy Ryan almost around. Well, he was able to hold on to that thing, but I'm with you. As of right now, he's going to be close to clinching. I definitely don't want to ever just give it to him, and say, hey, okay, look, because going into next week, even if it's a 150-point deficit, I know that sounds like a lot of points. The way the point system is here, if it is the old NASCAR ruling, there could be about 120 or 130 point deficit difference that you could make.
I think we're going to have to give Bob Pockers a call. Maybe he'll be able to help us out with this point situation. But until then, we got Shane Ewing riding around in 3rd place. He's about 1.3 seconds back. Mike Kelly is really checking out on the field. Chad Coleman as well. They're running, the 2 and the 20 are running pretty similar lap times, pretty much keeping about a half-second gap. But they are pulling away from the rest of the field. Shane Ewing is battling Brian Macklin for 3rd. Looks like that 30 car is wanting to get in and make a bold move there down on the bottom. But that 51 of Justin Fuller, we saw him with so much steam earlier, can really only fight his way back up to 8th place. I say only, as if it wasn't from, about 30th that he drove all the way up here, but certainly not the speed we saw
Comstock
earlier.
around. I was about to say Comstock had an awesome save there, but man, I tell you what, caution out. But we saw that one live. You saw him come out of the turn 4 all kind of sideways dirt track and held on to him. I think Justin Fuller might have gotten the back of him because he had to check up. But yeah, David Comstock around on that one, hitting the inside wall hard under caution here. But and to answer your question out there, Mitchell, check out Sim500.com. Yes, they do have some openings. They have the winter. This is the Winter Series K&N, the Nemesis Lab. We have the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky Series coming up here in April, the Truck Series on Wednesday night. And I'm not 100%, but I know as of today they had a couple spots left open in that one. So you might want to get up with them. I know that, God, who was actually, I think Nick Silver was the one who made that one post out there about it. Definitely check out Sim500.com. They have many different leagues. Most of the broadcast leagues are Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday here on the OSR Network, online simracingnetwork.com. We do the Monday and the Wednesday here for them. They have the Trend Service, which is the main series. Now, as far as I know, that one is full, but here's the catch to it also on that one. They run full series. They run full Cup Series, and they run a full Truck Series. The Truck Series will start here, like I said, I think it's April 6th is when it's first race at Daytona. It will run the rest of the Truck Series schedule. So, obviously, guys drop out throughout the series and the season. They are drop weeks, so you can make up in, in the championship. And I know, like, on Monday, it's kind of interesting, Jeff, if you read on the website there, it's kind of interesting because not only if you don't make the top 16 like in the chase, they have for 17th on back, they're giving some prizes for like I think it's 17th to 20th or something like that. So you really have something to race for even if you're not in the chase, and that's kind of cool. They have a prize set up here coming up for the Wednesday night series, for the Truck Series. Not 100% sure. You definitely check it out on the website. I think they have more information there on that. But yeah, check out Sim500.com. They have a world of information here for the Truck Series. And I believe it's Nick Silver's the one who was there. Nick, out there in the chat, you could definitely help me out if you're still tuning in. I believe that's who he needs to get a hold of. Obviously, Joey Katina, he's the main owner here. That's the main guy you want to get a hold of too. But yeah, I mean, a lot of great racing. They have a dirt series that runs on Tuesday. They have a modified that runs. They have like a midnight series that runs on Friday nights. Some not all the races are broadcasted, so they have a lot of series. They do have 7 days a week racing. Definitely check them out. Good league here, and you can tell me, look at racing out here. It's been for Phoenix and for this car and for this tire. Jeff, I think the racing. I think what we're seeing now is basically the heat's kind of heating up on the track. It's go time.
Certainly is. It's going to be a great race to the end here. 29 laps to go here left in this race. 28 coming to the line. But these guys are starting to get amped up. This is where we'll see some aggressive moves. And we'll see just who has enough fuel to make it to the end. I think everyone does at this point. But who's saved their tires the best and who's going to be able to come out of this thing the winner?
Well, Mike Kelly looked like $1 million out front there with Chad Coleman behind him. Anthony Calatoni, boy, I always love his last name. It's an Italiente right there. It's got an Italian-style name to him, and I always reference it because it makes me kind of hungry because it makes me think about Strombolis.
Ooh, that's definitely not bad at all.
No, it's not. I mean, for some reason, his name does make me think about it. I've said it before. I think I joked with him one time. I said, I think I did ask him one time if that name's kind of Italian because Calatoni. I was part of the mob or something.
No. I don't know. As someone with an Italian last name, I have no comment on our ties to the mafia. So
I'm with you. The lips are sealed. Hey, anyway, here we go. Going back to Green Flag Racing. Oh, like I say, man, I call it the home for fun and exciting sim racing here. As Green Flag's back out, Mike Kelly gets another good jump.
What a jump there for the 2-car. He's got about 3 car lengths ahead of that 20, who drives it in deep. He's trying to save that car right now, a little bit loose. Man, just to hold on to it, but that's going to let the 84 get a run in there.
Oh, boy, I tell you what, I don't know if you just saw that right there. Car around, caution out, but man, that was right in front of E.J. O'Rourke. Oh, let's go back on the replay. Folks, you're about to see, and unfortunately, Justin Fuller involved. Watch this. Oh, Shane Ewing again got loose, checked him up, and man, wow. I got to go back on the replay here, though. I got to take people back here. And right on the nose of EJ. Watch this. How close that was for him. Look at that. Wow.
What? How it doesn't get any closer than that from his in car. Man, he hit the brakes just in time and narrowly avoided disaster.
But unfortunately, Justin Fuller, who has came through the field twice, got caught up in that wreck. And we've seen it all night long. Anthony DeBarro first. Gotta say, Shane Ewing, just not the starts he wants. And we gotta say hey to Mom out there. You know, I know Mom's probably like, oh, I just want to put my head up underneath the blanket now. But Shane's not having the night he wants. He almost lost that car. The car got a little wiggly, and everybody behind him had to check up, which basically what started that one right there on that thing. You know, kind of nothing Shane could do, but just not the night he wants. You know, being caught up into 2 incidents here tonight so far.
We are down to just 25 laps to go. That's about 12 and a half minutes of green flag racing here left. Looks like they are 2 to green now, though. So we will take the green flag and just have a short sprint to the end here. I don't know if we're done with cautions. I hope. Fingers crossed that we can go green to the end here. I'm sure Mike Kelly is saying the same. And, boy, something caught in my throat there, man. I'm alive. It's not coronavirus, I promise.
Oh, yeah. We don't want you kicking over on us now over there, but you get choked up over the race. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're right. This race it's very emotional, and it hits me hard, you know? They're all so passionate. I hope they're all having fun out there.
I'm going to tell you what, that's probably what Anthony's doing right now. He's over in the corner, man. He's just like, man, this one has hit me hard. Because, you know, you're so close. You had a good car. I got a feel for him on that one and just get caught up in a huge wreck ordeal earlier on. And I'm not going to say his hopes are destroyed, but pretty much all hopes of trying to win a title kind of out the door here. Wow. And so that was a good acting job, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm sort of, I don't know. I guess I'm a little good at a lot of things, maybe. Where I'm studying engineering, but I work in broadcasting. I'm a half-decent iRacer, I like to think. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to give you the iRacing Oscar Award.
Much appreciated. I will put that. Let me just update my resume right now.
There you go. Heck yeah, man. Then we got the iRacing online Global Award. There we go. Just made that one up. # Global Award. We're getting set to go back green flag here. Mike Kelly out front. Chad Coleman there in second. Anthony Calatoni up third. Patrick Colby. He had an awesome pit stop earlier there in the move. Got him up front. Fourth. Brian Macklin fifth. You know, we could actually see maybe first time winner here tonight.
I would not be surprised by it. It could be any one of these guys in the top 10, really. But Mike Kelly has something to say about it. He gets a great jump. Pulls ahead by 3 or 4 car lengths, and that 84 is going to try and get to the inside of Chad Coleman. Mike Kelly wants to see these guys battling side by side behind him. That is perfect for him, as he'll let him pull away.
EJ's trying to make it around Shane. Boy, Shane just drove that thing down the inside of him right there. Very aggressive block move on him. EJ needs to be very careful. You know, Shane has really nothing to lose. EJ has everything in the world, but like EJ's just going to be able to get on the inside of him this time and take that spot away.
Caution's back out.
Oh, Richard Beasley. I can see all the 3 wide back there. And Richard just lost it. Ouch. All right. Oh, boy. Tell you what, down to the closing laps. I know Mike Kelly probably liking this, helping him out here.
It certainly is. Having all these cautions, he knows he can get a good jump on all the restarts. He's done it 3 times now. So just knowing that he can get that good jump and pull away, the less laps that he has to run out front with Chad Coleman chasing him, the better. And the only way to do that is more restarts.
Oh, what's up, our NASCAR? How you doing? 5 Horse Motorsports. How you doing out there, man, guys? Appreciate everybody tuning in. tonight. It's a good one so far. And down here to closing laps, it has been an up and down night for a lot of drivers. A lot in the championship running here, most notably Anthony DeBarro coming in here 99 points behind E.J. O'Rourke. Second, unfortunately caught up in a wreck earlier on. That has probably all but destroyed his hopes of winning the championship here. He's hoping maybe E.J. blows up, wrecks, or falls asleep at the wheel.
Or all three.
That is true.
That is true. Be all three, and that would be quite a story.
That would be some good talking right there. I could, you always talk about Justin Fuller, and the social media posts and all. They always getting on EJ out there, and I want to jinx him, because I always talk about the broadcaster jinx wealth right now. But they always talk about hashtag EJ caused a wreck. Tonight he's done pretty good. He's avoided all the wrecks.
He has done a fantastic job. He had a really close call with that 19 car spinning right in front of him. But he's done a fantastic job of avoiding the wrecks and doing just exactly what he has to do, which is just finish up near the front. He had to beat Anthony DeBarro, which now he's going to be able to do. DeBarro is 43 laps down and is taking it to the garage. So he just needs to go out there and have a good finish.
Yes, he does. And the man out front, Mike Kelly, is the one right now who has had a fantastic pit stop. Spun earlier on in the race, got caught up in an incident early on in the race, been able to bounce back and get back up front. Chad Coleman there and Anthony Calatoni in third. Like I said, we could see a first-time winner here tonight.
That 2 car is certainly looking strong. He's going to be, I think he's really the guy to beat, and the advantage for him is that he's in first place and he controls the restart. He controls when he jumps, and that is huge here in this league, and in these cars. It gives you such a big advantage.
Yes, it does. So let's see what Mike will be able to do out front here. Getting set here to go back green. Phoenix, if this thing concluded as they go back green, it should only be about, I'm going to make it less than 20.
It is. It's going to be 17 laps? 16 laps when they go back green, as they are now lining up side by side. The lights on the pace car are off. 16 laps. It's about 8 minutes of green flag racing should they go green to the end. Starting to get close to the end here. We're going to see how these guys react.
Interesting. Pace car's about to duck off. See what Mike Kelly's able to do along with Chad Coleman and Anthony Calatoni up front. Here we go. I tell you, it's been aggressive, and I always say business is about to pick up. Run what you brung here. These guys, well, now you got to show what you got if you want to win this race. Pace car's pulling him around. Mike Kelly. Here we go. Pace car's in. Mike don't waste no time. He jumps on the throttle and he's gone.
Wasted no time at all. Brian Macklin pushing that 20 car hard down the straightaway. Advantage to Mike Kelly, though. Has about a 2 car length lead. And again, a caution comes out.
David Comstock involved with this one. Another car that was up front most of the night. Back and watch and see.
Oh boy.
Oh, looked like he had to check up. And then this from behind, but looks like also the Steve Ritter and them right there. Again, just looks like a cause of having to check up front there. Yeah. Actually, Steve Ritter caught him in the rear there. Actually, Steve Ritter and them was the one that had to check up. Steve had to, and then when Steve went around, just a chain reaction from there. Nowhere to go. And we've seen that the last couple times. Basically, you had to check up, and you're coming in the turn so hot, and you're so close, nowhere to go, and the closing rate is so quick.
It really is, and everyone's driving in it so aggressively on top of that, so they're pushing that car as hard as it can, absolutely to its limit on turn entry to try and gain as many positions as possible here before the next caution. That's what they're really expecting here. 14 laps to go, though. Lap 137 of 150 here as they catch the pace car. It's going to be interesting here. We're getting closer and closer to just green-white checkers, and I think that's what we're going to end up seeing.
Yeah, unless it just goes straight out to green here. Mike Kelly's looking like the man out right now. Chad Cole was able to get out there with him in second. Galatoni there in third. Ackland hanging on the fourth, and Patrick Colby still hanging on fifth.
Great run there for a lot of these guys here that we don't usually see towards the front. Mike Kelly having a great run. Steve Abakwa, he's fallen back to about 14th at piece car, but they're keeping it clean. Like we said earlier, just constantly, consistently top 15, running well, just stays out of trouble and has a good, clean race there. That Peeps car is looking good.
Absolutely. So, yeah, definitely got to get the update on the Peeps machine there. A pretty good run. Ben and Mar back in traffic. He's up 14th right now. Well, EJ, I'm going to say he's probably back in that danger zone. He's back there in 12th. He's going to have to be careful here.
It is. You sort of don't want to be that far back because of wrecks and all that, but at the same time, you don't want to be pushing your luck too far.
No doubt. I mean, and at this point, a lot of guys are going to be very, very aggressive. So, don't want to get caught up in anything. We go. Mike Kelly. Can he hang on here and put this thing in victory lane here tonight?
I would say yes. My money is on yes because he's just been so strong on these restarts in the first couple laps. Chad Coleman's able to sort of gain a little bit of ground, stay within a car length or two of them, but he hasn't really been able to make a run on him. Granted, he hasn't had too many opportunities to, but he hasn't been able to form a good run on him. So I think that's a good sign that Mike Kelly here has a good chance of winning it, as they are now 1 to green, getting ready to go back.
Absolutely. So, well, I'll tell you what, out front, Mike right now is going to definitely put it side by side. Chad Coleman, he's going to need another good restart here. His pace car is about to drop off. Get set here to go back. Green flag racing here at Phoenix.
A race marred by cautions. Ran the first 50 laps completely green. Now coming down to just 11 laps to go. We'll see if they're able to run it clean to the end. We've seen a lot of cautions these past couple laps. Mike Kelly played some strategy, came out really on top. Looks like he's going to be able to get a good restart here. I'm sure he's done it the past 4 or 5 times in a row now as the pace car pulls off. Mike Kelly times it perfectly again. A great restart, and the 20 car on the outside is caught sleeping. The 84 on the inside is going to try and get a good run there. He can stay side by side with that 20 car. That's exactly what Mike Kelly wants to see.
And I think that, it's a smart move by Mike. Just go. Don't try to play any games like earlier on or anything like that. Don't try to hold the field up. Just go. Get out front. Smart move on his end. 10 to go here at Phoenix. Man, it's going to be a good one as you see him up front there battling back here with EJ because, man, he is 3 wide, not in the position he wants. And, oh, they're wrecking in front of him. No caution, but he is still 3 wide right there.
Absolutely crazy.
And they're wrecking around him. Chad Cole's around. Oh, and another car's around in front of him. Shane Ewing is around. Chad Cole. Chad Coleman. We got to go back here and see what happened here because there were 3 darn different wrecks. All right, let's go to Chad Coleman first because that one right there was 3 wide. And, oh, contact between EJ and Chad. Then Chad Cole around. Single car, but then up front, Chad Coleman in front of that pack. He just lost it on the outside. I mean, that's crazy. Oh, and I'm going to tell you what, Shane Ewing, nowhere to go, just got destroyed.
Yeah, both the 20 and the 47 just happened to lose it at the same time. The 47 managed to keep it straight. The 20, unfortunately, did not. Man, that was crazy.
Man, we just watched the hood view there. Shane Ewing's crash. Let's go watch it again. Watch it run the hood view when he takes this lick. He misses Chad Cole, but then Chad Coleman out of nowhere, just nowhere to go, and all of a sudden, bam! I mean, destroyed that front end.
So keep in mind, the max time allotted for this race is 1 hour and 55 minutes, and we are at 1 hour and 39 right now. I don't think we're going to hit that time limit. but we're getting awful close to it. So
yeah,
that
I think
could
we need
be
probably
a factor.
probably need about another, what, 4 or 5 more cautions to hit it. Probably wouldn't.
I don't know. The average
Get that
time under
engineer
caution,
degree out, man. Get that calculator going.
yeah, it's about a minute a lap under caution here. Let's say they run 5 laps. Yeah, we'd need another 2 or 3 cautions to hit that time limit, but we do have room for 2 or 3 more cautions. So
Oh, yeah.
be careful. We could hit that time limit, and that could be a limiting factor here.
You know, and this is not unusual. I mean, we saw a good long green flag run. Obviously, these guys are going for it, but it has been unusual here at this track. And I said before, this place is tricky. And most of the cautions we've seen, except for maybe a few checkups here and there, have been guys just losing it coming out of the turns. And, you know, that tells us trying to get back on the throttle too soon. Maybe with cold tires, because most of them have happened right as soon as we went back green. Remember, these tires, with the new tire model, they have to heat up before they get a lot of, grip and so forth. So try to overuse them. And a lot of these guys have been out here for quite some time on these set of tires.
That's true. These tires are anywhere from 50 to 70 laps old sometimes. A lot of guys are on 2 tires. Some of these tires are almost 100 laps old. So you got to be careful on them, and guys are just overdriving. I think it's more that the tires are worn than cold tires per se. But, man, oh man, it's just such a difference. If you took 2 tires at some point, the left side's being a lot more worn than the right's, it'll make the car snappy loose on you.
Yeah, and so we're just going to have to see what happens here as we're getting set to go back green. Can Mike Kelly hang on to this thing up front? It's been a while. Get set to go back green here. Kelly out front, Chad Coleman there. Actually, Chad Coleman, he got caught up in the wreck there, so that puts Anthony Calatoni up in the second. Brian Macklin there, and Tim Johnson, and EJ up to 7. So he's a little bit safer, quite in hot water.
The water's not quite as hot. He's going to restart 4th on the inside line, but just 5 laps to go here, taking the green, when they take the green flag, as the pace car is getting ready to pull off. I think this could be the last restart. It's entirely possible, and we'll see how it goes from here.
Well, you're right, because if another caution was applied, we'd have to take it right into the white checker. But Mike Kelly, like he's done the past 2 starts, wastes no time getting out front. But here comes Anthony on the inside. He's trying to be aggressive. He has to. He understands he's got to go. Timothy Johnson and Brian Macklin back there, though.
A good battle going on back there, but all eyes are on Mike Kelly as he is the one out front. Everyone's trying to catch his back bumper. And, man, he just needs 4 more times around here, 4 more clean laps. Don't let the 84 get a good run on you. Don't let him dive bomb you. But just keep it clean, keep it out front, and just keep running your line and hitting your marks if you're Mike Kelly.
Haven't seen, all night long, what we've seen is who was out front has the clean air and the car. Patrick Colby still having an outstanding run here at 8. But this is definitely what Mike wants to see. He wants to see Anthony and Brian battle side by side, because that's going to help him stay out front, and almost contact between those two.
Very, very close, as Brian Macklin easily worked his way around that 84 car. That was pretty impressive here. But does he have enough to pass Mike Kelly? It's going to be interesting here to see towards the end.
Right now, everybody is trying to stay as patient as they possibly can. As we get up here, another couple of laps, we'll take the white flag, and it won't matter what happens at that point. And this is definitely what you want, but look at Brian Macklin close in on the back bumper there, Mike Kelly.
Closed in on the
lead.
back bumper and dove it down to the bottom. Caution came out, but
is
Macklin's
out,
in the
and
lead.
I'm going to tell you, Brian Macklin has the lead. Oh, this could be huge, because we've seen it all night long. Whoever had the lead benefits the most, but go back on the replay. Oh, David Comstock lost it coming out of the turn right there, and then just got wham. This right here, that could have been the move right there that Brian needed of the race. This is going to put us in a green-white checkered. But, right there, Brian Macklin will control the field, and we've seen it all night long. Whoever does control the field gets out front. It's just very hard to run them down and pass. So that was a crucial move by Brian Macklin right there.
That move could be the move that wins the race, and it was just very lucky timing that he was out front when that caution came out. Very unfortunate for Mike Kelly that the caution didn't come out a couple seconds earlier. He didn't hold that position for another, turn, but that's just the way it falls sometimes. But huge advantage to Brian Macklin here. With a green-white checkered, he really only has to hold the lead for 2 laps. That's a huge advantage when you control the restart and can get the jump.
Absolutely. Here we go. I'll tell you, you're right. Huge. That move right there, and I know Mike Kelly's probably kicking himself. He probably should have put up, he's probably thinking, I should have just put up a better fight. Because now, I'm not saying he's done, but he's probably going to have to be very aggressive on this start. As if they go green and a caution flies, it's over. If they get to the white flag, they're going to race it on the way back. So that's the green-white checker rules. Going to set this thing up here. Oh, going through your mind as a driver right now?
Ooh, it depends on where you are. If I'm Mike Kelly, I'm thinking I got to just match Macklin on the restart and just drive the wheels off of it going through turns 1 and 2. But if I'm Brian Macklin, I'm thinking I got to just jump this start, time it perfectly, and just go out and cruise and hit my marks the last 2 laps. He definitely has the advantage. He has newer tires, but Mike Kelly could still make something happen. It's just going to be a lot more difficult for him now.
To answer your question out there on online, yes, I am.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Quite a lot
in the background every once in a while. Yes. Nothing wrong with that. Nice. Trying to keep up with all the happenings and stuff going on, but hey, definitely not distracting me from what's going on the track here. I mean, it has been very interesting, and just going to show you how multi-talented
you are. Exactly right. For those of you
I am managing the cameras and all too.
Oh, I know. Oh, I'm well aware. You're doing a great job of it. For those of you that don't know, Joe and I are friends on Facebook, and he just shared an article about 10 minutes ago, and so I just commented on it. I see you're browsing Facebook as well right now. So, quite a lot of cautions. Not to say that the racing isn't keeping us thoroughly entertained, but we like to keep up with what's going on in the world as well at the same time, with how crazy everything is and news changing by the second, it feels.
And that's how I've been able to keep up with the points too. I've been looking through Dan, Lisa, and looking at that too in the background here. I mean, folks, I have multitude of things going on. Obviously, y'all don't see what I do in the background, along with announcing, keeping up with the points. I'm able to, several monitors here, and so forth, so on. But yeah, this race has been very, very entertaining. I've enjoyed it, and like I say, I think Brian Macklin's move right there could be the move of the race, and definitely well could put him in victory lane, because it puts Mike Kelly in a position that he definitely don't want to be in. And we're about to see it right here. As you can see, that start, that is exactly what Brian wants on the restart.
That's exactly what Brian wanted, and he sort of, played a little bit of a game with Mike Kelly there, and now they're side by side for second place. They're sort of battling for a podium spot now. Brian Macklin just needs to hit his marks, pull away here. He's definitely got the advantage with the best tires out there. Hit the battle for second and third at this point.
Absolutely. See Brian just moving on out here. Mike Kelly just get to the second place spot. The battle's on for third. Anthony Calatoni and Tim Johnson. Right there, door to door. Tommy Ryan's outside looking in. White flag one more time here at Phoenix. Race is actually on here for third, though.
It is a good battle side by side. Timothy Johnson had it there, making contact, drawing each other down the backstretch. Looks like some front left damage for that 28 car. Oh, never mind. It was just on my screen, that front left tire on the 28 was sideways, but Brian Macklin is going to cross the line, win the race. Timothy Johnston is not going to come home third after a crazy sequence there at the end. It's going to be Anthony Calantoni as he gets sent there.
I'm going to tell you what, Jeff, I don't know if you saw that, but Anthony came out of turn 4, dirt track in that car. That thing was clear almost sideways, and he held on to it. What an amazing job. Wow.
That really was incredible, and we saw some post-race fireworks there. The 28 of Timothy Johnson after the checkered flag just drove right through the 84, showing how displeased he was with how he was raced on that last lap in turn 3. That's just short track racing there at the end. The 84 came up, and the 28 gave him plenty of room, but he still just shoved him up out of the way. But man, oh man, his
last lap, you
displeasure
gotta go
was
for it.
certainly shown.
You got to go for it on the last lap. It's racing. It's time to go.
You're right. It's the last lap, and it was just hard side-by-side racing. I think what Timothy Johnson was saying is, man, come on. I know it's the last lap, but, I gave you enough room, but you still drove up into me. And Anthony's sitting there saying, it's the last lap. I'm doing everything I can to win this race and get a good finishing position. But let's ask him about it here as we bring him up for the top 3 interview.
Mike Kelly up here. See if we can some of the other ones here, Brian Macklin and company. But man, what a race here to cap it off. And I tell you what, EJ, he was able to dive himself up to 4th to come out of here. Tell you, that's all but probably going to seal the deal for him. I really do think that right there probably we'll get an update coming into next week. But let's bring up Anthony Calantoni. Let's get a word with him.
Anthony, this is Jeff up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, how we doing?
Doing well. So you had a 3rd place finish. You started 17th and worked your way all the way up to 3rd. Walk us through that last lap there and the little post-race altercation we saw.
Well, qualified 17th, like you said. I was stuck all in the middle of the pack all race. Just figured I'd try to do some race strategy there at the end. Kind of figured there's going to be a lot of yellows. And just tried to hold my own, because the car was a tough one to handle all night, a little loose all night. I don't know what's going on, what happened there with the 28. I haven't talked to him yet, but I'm going to talk to him and see what the problem was.
Well, it looked like some just really good racing there at the end. You were battling for a 3rd place finish. Who do you have to thank for getting you up for a top 3 here tonight?
I just want to thank all the guys at Sim500, you guys for broadcasting, and all the Sim500 sponsors that are able to make us do this every week.
Well, a fantastic run there for the top 3 finish, Anthony Calantoni. Congratulations on that run, and hopefully we'll see you here next week.
Thank you, guys.
Like I said, man, he was coming out of that last turn all sideways there and was able to hold on to it, but Mike Kelly here almost pulled this thing off. Came home tonight here in 2nd.
Mike Kelly, a fantastic 2nd place finish. This is Jeff up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Pretty good. We just saw a very entertaining race there. And that caution came out was right at the end there. Just the worst possible timing for you. What was going through your mind there at the end when you were side by side with him and that caution came out just as he nosed ahead of you?
Well, if you were listening to my radio, you know what my thoughts were about that. I can't repeat it here on the air. But, I can't ever get a break on that, man. I swear. Last night in a race, I think I passed Anthony 27 times on yellow flags on dirt and kept getting sent back. I knew he was around me, but I thought, well, he hadn't been around me long enough, but obviously he was. So he was faster anyway, but I had everything go my way. I mean, I spun out. I caused that first yellow that created this whole fiasco. And then I got caught up a couple laps later, and Shane Ewing had a little spin. I got caught up in that. I was back to like 30th place. So then I used some strategy to get up to the front. And then, it seems to happen this way a lot here. I've won here before doing that one. I just stayed out there with like 25 to go or whatever it was, and it was going my way, but we just had a little bit too long of a run there. He snuck around me, and I couldn't do nothing with him after that.
Well, like you said, it was just sort of bad timing. You walked us through that entire race, so I was going to bring that up. The fact that you were involved in 2 wrecks, basically back to back, and we almost said like, oh well, that's unfortunate for him, but 2 wrecks back to back. It's hard to come back from that, and especially to go out and lead laps and do as well as you did. Who do you have to thank for a fantastic second place run here tonight?
Thanks to the teammates, Scott, Simley, Turn 1 Heroes, all the guys there. Having an up and down season so far. OSRN, you guys do a fantastic job. Nemesis Lab, of course, for sponsoring the series, and all the good admins and guys at Sim500. And DuPont for sponsoring the old throwback machine. It was a fun race tonight. Glad to get up on the podium.
Well, you certainly had a lot of things go your way, but just one caution fell right when you didn't need it to. Congratulations on a fantastic run, and hopefully we see you here in the top 3 next week.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
There you go. Second place man, Mike Kelly, with this guy right here, Brian Macklin. I'll tell you what, he did everything he needed to do tonight in a good move. Brian Macklin, you wait in the booth, got a copy?
Yes, sir. How we doing?
Well, that had to be one of the move of the race there. You were able to have your nose out front, and that caution fell right when you needed it to take us back to that lap.
Well, honestly, I didn't want the caution to come out. I felt like what was going to work best for us was for the race just to stay green. I had slightly fresher tires than Mike and Anthony there at the end, and I also felt like I was just a little bit quicker than them most of the night anyway, and I just was getting really frustrated with all the cautions towards the end of that race. But we were able to get a decent restart and then have 3 or 4 laps where we were actually able to get around Anthony and then go up there and challenge Mike, and it worked out for us. But yeah, I was really hoping that thing was just going to stay green at that point.
Kind of looked like on some of those restarts there, like I said, we had a long green flag run, but, and the old saying's cautions breed cautions, but a lot of them there, guys just losing it. We know the new tire model out there, and a lot of you guys were out there for a long time on tires. Take us to how your car was reacting on those restarts. I mean, was it a case of maybe the tires being cold?
On cold tires, especially at Phoenix, the car is very loose. We dealt with that in the Xfinity car. We dealt with that in the Cup car, and the same thing again here tonight. Cold tires here, just generally for a couple of laps, you are really loose. But on those several restarts that we had, you get a heat cycle on the tires, and it really kind of makes it to where it's not as bad. And I wasn't personally having any issues with it getting loose at the end of the race. But I was seeing other drivers that were, so I don't know if maybe they were just pushing their cars too hard, or if maybe their cars are just reacting differently than mine.
Yeah, well, and it's good to see. Like I said, yeah, you definitely were on rails out there, and that's what we saw. A lot of guys just kind of just looped it going into the turns, or out of the turns, just out of nowhere. But hey, you had a fast machine, you got out front, you put it in victory lane here at Phoenix for the Nemesis Lab K&N Series. Got one more race to go. Who you got to thank for the win tonight?
I got to thank you guys, for, as I've said a few times here, for putting on these shows. I feel like I've gotten to talk to you guys a lot here recently, and it feels good. I went through a stretch last year where I wasn't doing well at all, so it's nice to have this rebound this year and actually get to run well. But thank you guys for the broadcast. Thank everybody at Sim500 for putting on these shows, the Nemesis Lab guys. Without the sponsors and the admins at Sim500, none of what we do would be possible. So all of those guys that help put this together are a huge part of why I get to enjoy racing here every night. I got to thank all my teammates, Justin, EJ, Adam, Trey, all those guys. We get together, we race, we have a good time. I'm not running the American Lung Association car in this series, but I still got to thank the American Lung Association and Lung Force for their continued support, and I really appreciate that they let me run that car and allow me to pay tribute to my late grandmother.
Absolutely, definitely, man. Good calls right there, like you said. So, as always, been able to put it in victory lane here tonight again. Brian Macklin, congratulations on the win.
Yes, sir. We're going to try to close this season out with one more.
There you go, man. And he just said it right there. One more race to go. EJ O'Rourke put himself in an outstanding position to take the title home next week. But what an interesting race here to leave here at Phoenix, man. Jeff, I tell you, got any final words?
Well, I think we saw what we sort of predicted at the beginning, where it wasn't going to be the fastest car that won it. We saw Justin Fuller, Anthony DeBarro, both very, very fast cars the entire night. Both of them caught up in incidents and unfortunately out of the race. And it wasn't the fastest car that won it, but it was the first one across the line. Brian Macklin had that perfectly timed move, very lucky on his part. But just a great race all around. A lot of cautions towards the end, but I'm glad we ran 50 laps straight under green flag conditions. So it was a very good race overall, I'd say. I can't wait for next week.
Absolutely. As we're getting set here, one more race here to go in the Nemesis Lab K&N Series, and we'll crown a champ next week. But for myself, Jeff, and everybody here at the Sim500, and again, congratulations to Brian Macklin put it in victory lane here tonight. Everyone, have a good night.